Lewis Hamilton started third on the grid at the Austrian Grand Prix. He had podium pace. He had fresh upgrades. He had the same aggressive strategy mindset that won him Barcelona 2 weeks ago. He finished fifth. And it wasn't Mercedes that beat him today. It wasn't Verstappen. It wasn't the heat or the tires. It was Ferrari, his own team, mistimed pit calls, a failed undercut, a strategy that worked in Barcelona and collapsed in Spielberg. This is exactly how Ferrari just threw away Hamilton's best chance at the Austrian podium. Let's be clear about where Ferrari was heading into Sunday. They had upgrades, a new spec power unit. Hamilton had been a 10th off Mercedes' pace in final practice. Leclerc had set the fastest lap of qualifying before Russell's controversial pole snatch. Hamilton was just 0.295 seconds off the front row. Most importantly, Ferrari had a strategy edge. 2 weeks ago in Barcelona, Hamilton had won his first race for Ferrari with an aggressive 3-stop strategy at the Spanish Grand Prix. That gamble worked because a virtual safety car came at the perfect moment, handing him a free pit stop. So when the lights went out at Spielberg, Ferrari and Hamilton clearly had a plan. Be aggressive, trust the strategy, repeat Barcelona. The first part of that plan actually worked. Russell led away cleanly from pole. Verstappen, who started fifth, immediately began climbing. Hamilton held his ground in the early laps, looking comfortable on his starting tires. Behind him, Charles Leclerc was already dropping back from his front row start. The car wasn't quite as quick as the Mercedes today, and the Red Bull ring was punishing in the Styrian heat. But Ferrari pushed ahead with their aggressive plan anyway. Here's where it started to fall apart. The Red Bull ring is famous for its strong undercut. Pirelli's projections showed pit stops at the Spielberg track lose roughly 20 seconds of total time, which is unusually low. That makes early pit stops attractive if you have pace. Ferrari pulled the trigger early on Hamilton. They put him on soft tires for an aggressive undercut, attempting to repeat what worked in Barcelona. The plan: pit early, attack on fresh rubber, force Mercedes and McLaren to react. It immediately ran into problems. The Austrian afternoon was scorching. Track temperatures climbed throughout the race. The C5 soft tire, the softest Pirelli compound, was never designed to handle long stints in those conditions. Hamilton's pace on softs was strong for the first few laps, but then dropped off a cliff. According to Yahoo Sports' live coverage, Hamilton's mediocre stint on soft tires on a scorching day compromised his chances at victory. Translation: the strategy gamble was too aggressive for the conditions. This is the part Ferrari got fundamentally wrong. Barcelona had cooler track temperatures and a virtual safety car gift. Austria had neither, but they ran the same playbook anyway. And then it got worse. Around the middle of the race, a safety car was deployed. For Ferrari, this should have been their lifeline. A safety car drastically reduces the time lost during a pit stop because the entire field slows down. Hamilton, who had already pitted aggressively, was now in a position where a well-timed second stop could leapfrog him back into podium contention. According to Motorsport Week's race report, Ferrari mistimed their pit calls under the safety car. The window opened, then closed. By the time Ferrari reacted, the optimal moment had passed. It's the same pattern Ferrari has shown in 2026 race after race. In the season-opening Australian Grand Prix, Ferrari kept both cars out during a virtual safety car when Mercedes pitted. Hamilton, on his radio, openly questioned the decision. He told the team that at least one of them should have come in. They didn't listen. Mercedes won. In Austria today, the same problem in a slightly different form. Ferrari's race engineers, sitting on the pit wall in Maranello uniforms, simply do not execute under pressure. They overthink. They wait for confirmation. By the time they call the stop, the window is gone. This isn't bad luck. This is a structural issue inside Ferrari that has cost them victories for 3 consecutive seasons. And today, it cost Hamilton his podium. Lewis Hamilton is one of the most experienced strategists in Formula One history. 7 world championships, over 100 race wins. He knows what a good pit call looks like. He knows when his team is making a mistake. We won't have all of Hamilton's radio messages from the race for a few hours, but based on the live coverage and his history with Ferrari this season, the pattern is already clear. Back at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix, Hamilton openly challenged Ferrari's strategy on the radio when they refused to pit during a virtual safety car. He told the team that at least one of them should have come in. Mercedes won that race. And here in Austria, after another race where Ferrari's pit timing failed to deliver, you can be certain the post-race debrief was tense. The frustration is building. Hamilton came to Ferrari because he believed Maranello had the car to fight for an 8th world championship. What he's finding instead is a team that consistently gets out-strategized by Mercedes, the very team he left. The cruel irony of today, Hamilton spent 12 years at Mercedes watching them out-execute everyone else. Now he's at Ferrari watching them get out-executed by his old team. Every race weekend, if Hamilton's race was a disappointment, Charles Leclerc's was a disaster. He started P2 on the grid, the front row, his first realistic shot at a podium in weeks after back-to-back retirements in Monaco and Barcelona. The Tifosi were ready to celebrate a Ferrari 1-2 challenge. He finished 8th. According to Total Motorsport's live coverage, Leclerc struggled badly on the hard tire compound throughout the race. The Ferrari simply could not generate temperature in the harder rubber, leaving him a sitting duck for cars on fresher mediums. Piastri and Hamilton both passed him in clean overtakes. Verstappen, who started 5th, also went by on his way to the podium. Then came contact between Piastri and Leclerc during one of those overtakes. Minor damage, but enough to compromise his floor and aerodynamic balance. Leclerc was forced into an extra pit stop for new tires. He rejoined in 8th and stayed there. This is Leclerc's 3rd disastrous race in a row. Monaco retirement, Barcelona retirement, Austria 8th from the front row. Jacques Villeneuve's recent comments about Ferrari needing to focus their resources entirely on Hamilton are looking less controversial by the day. And here's the brutal championship math. Hamilton is now comfortably ahead of Leclerc in the driver's standings, and that gap is widening with every race. This is no longer a teammate battle. This is Leclerc falling out of the picture entirely. Now let's zoom out to what really matters. Mercedes has now won 7 of the 8 races in the 2026 season. Russell's win today, combined with Antonelli's 3rd place, means Mercedes are dominating the Constructors' Championship by a margin that grows every weekend. Russell, who entered the race 50 points behind Antonelli in the Drivers' Championship, leaves Austria just 40 points back. He gained 10 points on his teammate in a single race weekend. Mercedes is no longer Antonelli's team. It's becoming a genuine 2-driver title fight. For Ferrari, the math is brutal. Hamilton came into Austria around 41 points behind Antonelli. Today, Antonelli scored 15 points for 3rd place. Hamilton scored 10 for 5th, which means the gap actually grew. Hamilton leaves Austria further from the championship lead than when he arrived. The Barcelona victory 2 weeks ago should have been the start of a Ferrari surge. Instead, Austria has confirmed that Mercedes' speed plus Ferrari's strategic mistakes equals an extending championship lead. The reliability concerns Mercedes had at Barcelona, the Antonelli battery failure that handed Hamilton his win, appear to be resolved, at least for now. Both silver arrows finished today. That alone changes the entire 2026 outlook. If Mercedes' reliability holds for the next 3 races, this championship is effectively over. The next race is the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, Hamilton's home track, the site of his greatest career moments. The place where, if anywhere, he could finally take his first Ferrari pole and his 2nd Ferrari win. But here's the question Ferrari needs to answer before then. Are they going to change anything? Are they going to rebuild their strategy department? Are they going to start trusting Hamilton's race instincts? Are they going to commit to him fully and stop splitting resources with a Leclerc who is now falling further behind every weekend? Because if they don't, Silverstone will end the same way Austria did. Hamilton starting in contention, Hamilton finishing in frustration. And George Russell, who incredibly is now Lewis Hamilton's closest rival, for 2nd in the championship, pulling further away. This isn't a one-race problem. This is Ferrari's identity in 2026. And until they fix it, Hamilton's 8th title dream is dying one mistimed pit call at a time. So what do you think? Was this Ferrari strategy, Hamilton's gamble, or just Mercedes being too fast to beat? Drop your verdict in the comments. Hit subscribe for the British Grand Prix breakdown next week, and tap the bell because Hamilton's Ferrari era is officially at a crossroads. I'm out. See you at Silverstone.